Friso, thank you so much for joining me today.
Scott, it's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. To start off, I'd love if you could introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from.
Sure, yeah. So my name is Friso Poldervaart. I'm originally from the Netherlands. Moved to Thailand at 18 years old. So before I moved to Thailand, I was studying basically. And when I graduated, I studied cinematography. 10 days later, after graduation, I moved to Thailand. And of course, I didn't have, any backup plans. I didn't have also any funds, to be honest, being a student, obviously. So it was really kind of like, just let's go and figure it out. And yeah, there was some tough years in the beginning, but I'm very grateful for those years because, that sort of makes you who you are, right? And Thailand has given me a lot, given me many opportunities. It welcomed me to stay here. And that's also why I decided, like, okay, I need to make it also a very big part of my life to do the favor in return. I need to give back to Thailand as well.
Yeah, that does tie us into what you've
Mm.
created here. And I'd love to hear that story of why you decided to start Bangkok Community Help.
Sure, yeah. No, well, I think a lot of people know Greg. I mean, anybody that's been in Thailand for a while has probably bumped into Greg Lang, owner of Sunrise Tacos, the Mexican food chain, but also back in the days, the owner of Sunbelt Asia. I met Greg. I mean, we discussed some things. At that point, and this is 10 years ago, maybe I wanted to sell one of my businesses, and he, wanted to help me do that. So I always knew Greg. And then COVID-19 obviously hit. And I had this idea together with a few friends. Okay, like, business is going to be slow. It's really looking quite grim for Thailand, not knowing how grim it would become, eventually. So let's start and do something. Let's start and help out. So we decided to start cooking meals for people in lower income communities, slum communities. And I remember one of my friends, I was like, yeah, we will need a big kitchen for that. I mean, we will need, proper equipment for that. So I said, okay, I know Greg. Let me call him. So I called Greg. He was immediately like, yes, of course, whatever kitchen you want to use, let's go. And that was sort of kind of when we met again that day, 4 a.m. in the morning. Greg coming with 50 kilos of rice. We are coming with the other protein, and we started cooking. And from that day, 300 meals. We come to today, handed out almost 4.5 million meals. So we've come a long way, and COVID was really the reason why we started, but it was also the moment when it really opened our eyes when we, for example, entered into lower income slash slum communities. That's the moment where I realized, okay, even after COVID, there's a lot of things that need to be done here. I mean, there's a lot of people in Bangkok that just live in very difficult situations, in poverty, basically. So really, Bangkok Community Help is wasn't planned in that way. It wasn't our idea. Okay, let's start an NGO. It was just okay. We want to help others, and with that, it started growing. A lot of people started to see what we do and started to sort of agree with like, okay, we see this group of people out there all the time, especially during COVID when at some point nobody was doing anything anymore. It was just, too dangerous, the rules, regulations. It wouldn't really allow you to do much other than, be home. We did the opposite. So we were only out there, at some point wearing the PPE suit, triple mask, and still being out there, still helping because the need was just so big, right? And I think no, a lot of people at that time saw that. I mean, everybody was watching, and I think that's the moment where a lot of people familiarize themselves with who we are, and I think also saw that like, okay, this group of people are here for the long run. So that's really the birth of the Bangkok Community Health Foundation.
Wow. Now, I've heard that it's quite difficult to set up an NGO. So it sounds
Yeah,
like it was almost an accidental NGO at the start of let's get some
correct.
supplies together, right?
Yeah.
So how was that transition? When was it that you said, you know what, we have to take this seriously. We have to register ourselves. We have to jump through
Yeah.
these hoops. Explain that experience for me.
It was very soon after we started because the need was very big and our ambition also very big. I mean, we wanted to help as many people as we can. the way COVID started to behave. We always say the way COVID mutated, we mutated as well. So in the beginning, it was all, very sort of ad hoc. Okay, okay, you give some money, you give some money. And at some point, it's like that doesn't work anymore, right? At some point, we started also to get businesses on board. So very quickly, we said, okay, we need to become a registered NGO. Like you say, that takes a long time, but because it was COVID, because we worked very closely with the government, we were able to push it a little bit faster because they also understood like, okay, this is very, very necessary that this group of people becomes an official NGO. So I think we probably got it in a record time, which I don't think you can get that anymore if you do it now. But it was just because it was so much needed, I think, that time. And that opens a lot of doors. Once you're an NGO, once you're registered, a lot of more opportunities in terms of collaborations, in terms of donations come about, right? So it was a very good step for us to do that.
Oh, yeah. And as you said, I'm glad to hear that you got sort of the fast track at that time
Yeah,
because the need was there and you were there to help people. And I'm glad
absolutely.
there wasn't as much yellow tape in the way of you actually helping
Correct.
people.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Greg's background with Sunrise Tacos. Did you also have a business or have entrepreneurial ventures? Can you share a little bit more about that? And if any of that knowledge has helped you in this NGO work as well?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. So before COVID, for example, I was running a restaurant called Dinner in the Sky, which is a restaurant we lift up with a crane, 50 meters in the air. So we put that in the middle of Bangkok, where now M-Sphere is built. That's where we had Dinner in the Sky. Yeah. Well, like I said, my background is film actually. So I haven't studied business or anything like that. But it was kind of because I moved to Thailand that early, and because Thailand at that time, but maybe also at this time, just doesn't have that many opportunities for foreigners, not that many jobs, not that much work. I was kind of forced to like become an entrepreneur. Like I had to figure it out myself. So the first thing I did is started a media company, so creative agency, which I still have today. At that time, I had a camera and I had my skills. So I started making videos for small businesses, hotels, and then at some point, you have 2 clients, 3 clients, and then you have a double booking. So you ask your friend, like, hey, can you shoot on that day so I can go there? And suddenly it's like, oh, I'm running a business. You know what I mean? Now I have a team, I have a crew. So that's kind of how that came about. And, that company, for example, we still exist. We have a beautiful team. We just shot the first episode of a upcoming Netflix series, pretty cool. And how that helped me, for example, in what I'm doing now with Bangkok Community Help is obviously that, we are very vocal, for example, online, social media. We are very good at showing what we do. We are very good at telling stories of the people we help. And I think these are very, very important ingredients of running a successful NGO because we are the voice of the people we help, right? In slum communities, people feel very unheard, right? They are the lower end of society and everybody looks down on them, right? It's our job to show people that no, these people are amazing people. They want to work hard. They want to make something out of themselves, right? So these are things that, those skills can apply very well. And then the restaurant background, obviously from Greg is very strong, which is, logistics, those kind of things. Yeah, I think business in general is just, if you know how to do business, which is maybe a little bit weird to explain it, I think you are a problem solver most of all. I mean, you know how to solve problems in a very pragmatic, very effective way.
Wow, I love that. I have to be honest, there are so many nuggets of wisdom in what you just shared. One of them is I think it could be good to come to Thailand when you're young, right? Because I came when I was relatively young as well. Maybe
Mm.
young, maybe naive. I mean, I didn't do something as large as you do, this concept of lifting people up and having a dinner with an amazing view. I mean, but that's something I'd almost imagine only a young person might do. But I think I love too that you mentioned that you maybe didn't study business, but I'd
Nice.
argue that you learn a lot more in business when you are doing business than when you're
Of
studying
course.
business,
You're right. You're
right?
right. Yes.
And you also mentioned this idea of maybe not as many job opportunities for foreigners in Thailand. And
Yeah.
I've come across that time and time again in the networks I'm part of here, and it's that you have entrepreneurial minded people that realize they might have limited options one way and they have to make it themselves. And
Right.
it sounds like you were able to make it yourself, and it just piece by piece, right? You end up
Yes.
needing help from your friend and then some. But I think there's two different paths there. You can either say, oh, there's no jobs in Thailand. Oh, the opportunities for underprivileged people in Thailand is bad, right? All of these things are victim mentality. It's not
Yeah.
problem solving mentality. And it
Correct.
sounds like
Correct.
you've taken the problem solving that you had to in business and now applied that to helping others, which is a big deal. So that's awesome.
100%. So for us, where do we fit in? I mean, we are very grassroots, meaning that we're always on the ground every single day. And I think the proof is always in the pudding, you know? I mean, if you as a spectator or someone that's interested in, helping others see that, okay, there's this group of people in a blue shirt, and every day when I look out or every day when I look on social media, these guys are out there doing something, helping someone else. That's enough. I mean, in the end of the day, that's where, the truth is, right? There's always something happening. And a lot of people, I think, like that. Now, what we also try and do is to get everybody involved. So if you want to help out, you're welcome. You can always come. It doesn't matter what age you are, where you're from. If you want to come 1 minute or if you want to come your whole life, everybody is welcome. Because I think our task as NGOs in general, but especially for us, is to give everybody the opportunity to give back. When I ask, and I do a lot of, for example, talks with groups or, at companies or schools, I always ask, okay, who in this room wants to help someone else? And everybody's like, raise their hand. So everybody's excited, right? The second question is, okay, how are you going to do it? And then the hands like slowly go down. And that's nobody's fault because it's very difficult. Who do we help? Where do we go? What should I do? So again, it's our task to give everybody, the opportunity to help someone because everybody wants to help someone. That's a concept or that's like a belief system that we have. And I think it works really well because yeah, I think it's just about empowerment, right? And some people, they're very happy to just say, okay, guys, here you go. We give you funds and you do with it whatever you think is good. That's perfect. We also have people that say, I do not have any funds, but I have two hands. Can I help out? Yes, you can help out as well. For example, here downstairs, we cook meals for the homeless every single day, right? Every day of the year. We need to have the ingredients here. We need to make sure what needs to be cooked. Then our van arrives at 12. People jump in the van. The van drives to the handout spot, right? So it's almost like it is some operational work there, right? We need to show people, we need to educate people what is going on in this city. Why are there people homeless? What is a slum community? All of these different things. So that's why I think we are different and that's why it works so well.
Yeah, I'm going to tie that back to business and entrepreneurship because when you just described how you have to provide all that information, if you're not organized, then I think even a volunteer could be seen as a burden, right? It's an extra person you have to track. It's an extra person you have to tell what to
Correct.
do, whatever.
Right.
But I have seen that done well. My parents recently did some volunteer work, and I remember they were explaining how I think they were building beds as part of like a church sort of activity, but they were saying
Nice.
how everything was so organized, right? It was kind of
Mm.
like you're there cutting the wood, you're there putting it together, you're there gluing. And if it's organized, it's magic what can happen. So if people do decide that they can volunteer some time, or maybe they're a company and they're trying to do more for the community and
Yeah.
they want to have all their employees have the opportunity, then they know that they're not just going to be thrown into something and not know what they're doing. It sounds like you have that all organized so that
Absolutely.
you can tap into that. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, that's 100% correct. And that's also, also one of our duties as well. I mean, we need to make sure that, the people, again, are empowered to do good, right? And we are the vehicle to help them with that. So yeah, that's also our responsibility, but it's also a responsibility to keep people safe and also leverage people's knowledge, right? I mean, we're building, for example, houses for families in lower income communities. And, we heavily leverage, people, volunteers that's been like architects, that been builders, like, okay, guys, if you have skills, come on board because, I'm not an architect. The first house we ever built, I drew on a napkin, right? Because I have no idea. But if we have, almost 3,000 volunteers. Sure enough, there will be a few that have built many houses in the past, right? So now we leverage what other people's skills are. And people love that too, because there's a lot of people, that come to Thailand, foreigners, but also Thai, that might not, have had a career somewhere and now they're retired or, they're not working anymore, but they would love to get back in what they were doing before. Okay, these are the perfect people because now we leverage them into, what they love to do as well and do it for someone else. So it's like, it's the winning formula.
Wow. I had never thought of that because I do know that there are protected industries. And I assume that a home builder in some other country coming to Thailand might not be able to find a job or
Of course.
even necessarily do that work at all legally, even if they
Yeah.
were, right? And so it sounds like you're giving them an outlet where they can contribute, use their skills, and that's incredibly rewarding, right? I mean,
Yeah,
being able to use the skills you haven't been able to tap into for a while. But
exactly.
I really want to focus though on the people that you help
Mm.
because I think it's easy to think of, okay, I'm going to give some money to some organization, some nonprofit, but like who are you actually helping? And so, Friso, I'm kind of curious if you can share any recent stories that you have of the individuals that your organization has helped.
So one of the groups we are helping on a daily basis are the homeless, for example, in Bangkok. Recently, we opened the first ever inner city homeless shelter. So this is a 3-story building where we have homeless come stay with us. Not only, to have a bed, have a shower and have food, but also to learn new skills, get mental support, get family reunification, all things to try and get them back on their feet. So what we see with a lot of homeless in Bangkok is that, they're not necessarily drug addicts, alcohol addicts. There are people that, somewhere along the line had an issue and became homeless. So we see quite a good success with that because we are able to really get people, from being homeless, from living on the street back into, a normal, living situation with a job, helping homeless on a daily basis with, things like food, water, medicine. But it's very unsustainable to do that. I mean, like I said, almost 5 million meals we handed out in 5 years. I mean, today we hand out meals, tomorrow we got to go back. So really, the solution there is, okay, how can we get people off the street, right? So, like teaching people how to fish instead of giving the fish, right? So, we said, okay, we need to do something more than that. So that's why we opened the center. We were very happy and lucky to receive a grant from the City Foundation for that. So we work together with City Foundation on this to tackle homelessness in Bangkok, for example. Children, of course, as well, sending children to school through our scholarship program, English programs, football with the kids, jiu-jitsu with the kids, which is really cool, by the way. Anything to get the kids active and also anything to get the kids, into an environment where they can learn, where they can play. Because in lower income communities, there's a lot of dangers. I mean, there's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of alcohol, there's a lot of abuse. And we really, believe it's very, very important that we can get those kids out of those environments.
Do you have any examples of people that you have helped that have later on contributed, either joining your community or helping others kind of lift them out?
The person that, drives our van, that brings around the food, that picks up donation is a young man that, was in jail for a very long time, came out of jail and wanted to change his life. Living in the slums, we met him, talked to him, and, he said, yeah, I've been in jail in and out almost 18 years. I want to change my life. I don't want to do this anymore, but I have no opportunity because obviously with that kind of, record on your name, nobody's going to hire me anymore. So I said, okay, let's come and work with us. And he's doing amazing, incredible human. Everybody loves him. And, he's doing fantastically well. We met a man up north during the floods when we were working there to provide aid and relief that comes actually from Burma, fled over the border when they were very young and started to work with us as well. So we met him there. We were working on helping others, lifting people out of their homes, floods, wading through the water. And it's like, wow, what an amazing, guy. So if you're ready for it, you're up for it, come with us to Bangkok and come and work with us. and he's working with us as well, and he's doing amazing. So really, there's so many success stories. And the romantic idea about, doing this kind of work is also that there are many success stories that we might not always see, right? When we speak with someone, when we help someone, like what does that generate maybe in the future, right? It's like dropping, something into the water and the ripple just starts, growing and growing. So I think every life that we can touch, every person that we can help, is it big or small, might have, a huge impact in the future as well. It's our task to give people, a push in the right direction, to make sure, that they have the tools to, find their way back, right? And I think that's something we need to do as much as we can, so we can, help as many people as we can.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The other thing that you touched on there was the elderly. And as I
Right.
understand, there are a lot of challenges with elderly that don't have an income or maybe don't have a family. Can you kind of paint that picture a little bit of what the challenges or what issues the elderly are facing in Thailand and what you do and how you can help them?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, Thailand, I mean, it's in a very alarming rate, growing towards a super great society. So that means that, there are more elderly than people in the workforce. In 2029, I mean, Thailand is predicted to be around 30% of the population 60 years or older. So you become an official super great society by then. And that means that, the burden on the people in the workforce, the taxpayers basically, starts growing and growing and growing. The issue, I mean, in Thailand or in many places, in Asia, is that, your family is your pension. So your children, your family takes care of you when you're old, right? But if you do not have children, or if you have children, but somewhere along the line you had an issue, you had a fight, you stopped talking, whatever, that pension, that safety net is gone. Now, the Thai government pays a government pension of 600 baht a month for every elderly person. That's 20 baht a day. Now, that increases with 200 baht every 10 years. So when you're 70, it becomes 800. When you're 80, it becomes 1,000. But obviously, 20 baht a day is not enough. What can we do with 20 baht a day? I mean, almost nothing, right? So what we see and what's very alarming is that more and more elderly are getting in trouble and actually ending up on the street. So these are elderly that worked all their life, usually in the informal sector, and then at the end of their lifespan end up on the street in Thailand. And that's something very alarming. So these are the people, we're very worried about. And these are people that we help. I mean, when I say, okay, we help homeless every day, I mean, I could also say we help elderly every day, because of those homeless, 60% are elderly. So every day we hand out food. We have long lines of people waiting for food, for water. If you look at, their heads, the line, I mean, 60% have gray hair. So this is very, very, very dangerous and very alarming. And this is kind of like, it's like a car, like you're driving into a brick wall. Because if nothing is done, on a government, on a policy level, this will just get, more difficult and worse, right? So what we try to do to countermeasure that in the most basic way is to provide them with, basic life necessities. But it's also to build income opportunities for them. So we have, elderly come and work with us. They're putting together paper bags. The paper bags are sold to the market, and all the proceeds go to the elderly that put them together. And there's many more things that we can do there. Elderly can sticker, elderly can do QC, elderly can pick up the phone. So there's many things that, we try and develop for elderly to, not have to be homeless, number one, but also not have to be dependent on anyone else. Elderly, if they can still work, they should be, able to take care of themselves. The issue in Thailand and maybe around the world is, if you're an elderly person, who's going to hire you, especially if they, do not have necessarily any, particular skill sets. This is something like no NGO can solve this. We can help, we can develop programs, we can try and do our best, but really this needs to come from, the politics. They need to increase the budget. It cannot be 600 baht a month. It's impossible. It cannot be. It has to go up. Every election, it's promised, we're going to make it 3,000, we're going to make it 4,000. Every election, nobody does it. So very unfair.
I saw the impact of inflation on me as a high income
Yes,
earner, as a foreigner in Thailand. And so I can
exactly.
only imagine for the Thais, especially as you said, the elderly that just don't have job opportunities at all. And
Yes,
just imagining that the rice getting more expensive,
exactly.
the noodles, everything.
That's hitting everyone, but always the people in, the lower income segment are always the ones that are hit the hardest, right? Because I mean, inflation doesn't stop for anyone. I mean, yeah, that just keeps going and going. But the income, doesn't grow. I mean, it doesn't go up, right? I mean, minimum wage, when does that go up? I mean, in Thailand, right? I mean, it's just stagnant, 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 stagnant. There's a huge imbalance here, growing. And it's also not me blaming the government or anything, because it's also like, it's not about what other people do. It's about what can we do, right? What can the people at home watching this do? Everybody can do something, right? So that's really like, okay, if we at least start doing that, we're already going towards, a more progressive way of solving the problem. If we just wait and sit and, point fingers, it's never going to happen. So I think that sort of, loops back to, okay, if you want to help someone else, you don't know what to do, but you really have the urge. Okay, we are here for you to facilitate that. Let's call it like that.
I'm curious if there is a easy issue to solve. If there was one issue that you consider to be simple or quick or easy that you think would take minimal effort or minimal money to solve, what would that be?
I mean, it's kind of on a policy level, but abolish the need for Thai children to wear a uniform to go to school. So what we meet is a lot of children that are not going to school because they do not have the uniform. Now in Thailand, school is free, but still, if you do not have the uniform, you're not allowed to go into the school. So that means there's a lot of children in Bangkok, for example, that are missing out on education because their parents do not have the means to buy them the uniform. Now, very easy fix. I mean, you ask for, a quick fix, abolish the need of having the kids wear a uniform. That means that all those kids can go to school directly tomorrow. So I think that, is something that's also progressive. That's something that, for example, Governor Chachat, the governor of Bangkok, is actually implementing also now. There's quite a few schools that already do not have, these rules and regulations. And you can see that, the amount of kids that goes to school is just increasing by that. So that's, a fairly simple, a simple solution to really, solve quite a big issue. I mean, kids not going to school is absolutely the worst that can happen to any society, right? So we have a scholarship program, for example. The scholarship program at Bangkok Community Help is to provide the uniform, to provide the books, and to provide the insurance. It's 4,850 baht a year. Now, when we talk about scholarship in the West, United States, we talk about, big numbers, $100,000. No, in Thailand, it's literally giving the kids the tools to be allowed to enter into the school. The rest is there. The education is free, right?
Wow. And just to do a quick conversion for individuals that might be more familiar with US dollars, I mean, it sounds like that's not much more than $100, $120,
Correct. Yeah,
$130, something like that.
correct. Yeah. Yeah. And that gives, the opportunity for a child to go to school for a year in Thailand, which is, if you want to help also from abroad and you want to help someone else or a child here, this is a fantastic way of doing it, because giving the children the right to education is obviously really the key to a better future.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, this speaks to unintended consequences. I mean,
Mm.
the downside of that is, of course, the people with more money might spend it on the nice new Jordan shoes or whatever the
Correct.
popular stuff are now. So I totally
Yeah.
get the concept, and in a way, I liked it initially, but I never thought about the downside of it. And it sounds like it's another barrier for someone to have to get over, and ironing the right uniform, having the right belt, having the different, clothes on Tuesdays and
You know
Thursdays.
how it
My
is.
kids,
Right.
my wife has to do this all the time, and it's a normal thing for us, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I'm just
Yeah.
imagining if we didn't have an ironing board, if we didn't have all the different sets of clothes, then it's
Yeah.
another reason that someone's not getting an education at all, and
Yeah.
that's really sad to hear. But it's
Yes.
good that for just over $100, individuals could actually give a
You can do
scholarship
it.
to a
Yeah.
child.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really, yeah, like I said, it's a great way to help. And it's, but, the easy or the quick fix would be, to just not have that rule anymore. And then with, the consequence that, some kids might, wear the fancy shirt and some kids might not. But I mean, that's kind of, the balance game then, right?
Right. Is there anything that we didn't touch on today that you wish we would have talked about?
I think for your viewers, I mean, if they want to learn more, they can, look on our website, bangkokcommunityhelp.org. They can follow us, any social media platform that exists on the planet, basically, and just see what we do. And anybody that has an idea, anybody that wants to help out, just reach out to us. I mean, it's really that simple. And become part of the, of the movement, become part of the family. For people that love Thailand and might travel to Thailand once in a while, come spend half a day with us, see a different side of the city, get, a feeling of, what people in, for example, slum communities face on a daily basis. I think it's very rewarding. This morning we had a family with 5 children here from Idaho, United States. And they said, you know what? I mean, we've been here for 2 weeks and we've been to Samoa, we've been to Pattaya and all these places. But I can already see that the kids have the best day today. I love that a lot, and it's great because, we're working with each other, helping others. And, I would really just advise anyone to take some time to do that together with us. And I think you will really love it.
I love the fact that that family and the kids of that family maybe enjoy that the most. With that, I really appreciate the time that you've spent with me today. I want to thank you
so
again,
much.
and I'll share everything in the links below for anyone that wants to contribute. Just remember, whether or not you're a individual that has money that you want to contribute, whether or not you don't have money but you have time, or
Yeah,
if you are a business owner, which a lot of people, I speak with a lot of business owners here, what better way to give back to the community and also have employees get to know each other better, right? It's so important to get out
absolutely.
of the office and form those friendships and do it with some volunteer work. What a great opportunity that would be as well. So thank you again, Friso. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
We need to be on the ground every day, 7 days a week, to feed to people, to talk to them, see how they are, what hardships they are facing, and get in and help as much as we can.
Right now, we're trying to save people's lives, right?
But the response in general is always great. Thai people are very friendly, and they give us the energy to keep going.
But the most important thing is the labor involved, is the volunteers.
Did you read the news this morning about the world burning? There's a shooting, there's a looting, there's a hurricane coming. And every day I sit and wonder what the hell we doing. I think I smell another war brewing. Sometimes I feel like I'm falling from a high wire, and I can't breathe in my own home from the forest fires. I got a friend who's now an angel, was a firefighter. He's looking down, reminding me I gotta keep on trying. If you met a stranger who was feeling stuck, and if you had a partner who was out of luck, and if the world was down, would you try to pick it up? Like, is it worth a penny to you? Is it worth a second or two? Reaching out to somebody you never knew. Share it with a friend or two. They give it to 100 more. We'll pass it to 1,000 more. We'll give it to 1,000,000 more. And love is breaking down every door, every door, door. Is it worth a penny to you? Is it worth a second or two? Reaching out to somebody you never knew. And love is breaking down every door right in front of you. Is it worth a penny? Is it worth a second or two? Reaching out to somebody you never knew. Share it with a friend or two. They give it to 100 more. We'll pass it to 1,000 more. We'll give it to 1,000,000 more. And love is breaking down every door, door. Is it worth a penny? Could you spare a second or two? Reaching out to somebody you never knew. And love is breaking down every door, door. Is it worth a penny? Could you spare a second or two? Reaching out to somebody you never knew. And love is breaking down every door right in front of you.